Excuse me.
All right. I see a couple of faces in here that I've seen before. So we get to the fun part of the end of the year. Does everybody love business planning? No? Raise of hands, who's done a business plan before? Who's followed a business plan before? That's where it gets very complicated. So we're going to highlight some things. If you want to actually, I'll introduce myself first, then I'll let them introduce themselves. My name is Brandon Bialkowski. I'm producing branch manager with Bison Ventures. If you don't know what Bison Ventures is, we've been around since March. We're an umbrella company of VIP Mortgage, and we started a brand new mortgage company. So we do everything in-house still, and we have a lot of niche products and things. So one of the things that I love doing is teaching as well as kind of coaching on some of this business planning stuff. So if what we kind of go over today doesn't spark your interest or you need more information, I'd be more than happy to kind of sit down with whoever as well as them. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Brandy Kausek. I'm a senior loan officer with Brandon at Bison Ventures. And I've been there since August, but Brandon and I go way back. I've been in the business for 20 years, and I guess for me, I mean, this stuff is great too, and talking about it and stuff, but I really am a loan technician, so if you have any strategies that you want to talk about or any issues you want to work through, that's kind of my superpower.
And my name is Lindsay Sanchez. I am the marketing director over at Chicago Title. Lots of familiar faces. So I am here the fourth Wednesday of every month. I'm here doing a digital power hour. So I know a lot of you from that. As well as we're always here hosting different fun events, the roundtable today. So you'll see me out and about. But if you ever do want to sit down and strategize your marketing plan 2023, I do have a social media trends class that I just taught this morning, and then I'll be teaching here again soon. I believe it is, what's the second week of December. I will be here for my 2023 social media class, so you'll get some information about that soon. But that will kind of pair well with this business planning. So keep that in mind, keep your ears open for that. And then Anna over here in the back, she's also with Chicago Title, Anna Curran. So her and I work together, and you'll see her face around here just as much as mine, if not more.
Awesome. Yeah, no, Lindsay is really awesome if you've never taken her social media class. I learn a little bit every single time.
A lot of it.
So, can we go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Some of the things that we're going to kind of talk about today, and how I structure my business plan is a little bit different because I'm in mortgage and you guys are in real estate, so there's different, I guess, key points that you need to kind of hit on. We're going to talk about some personal goals and stuff, vision statement, and a success plan. And if you're still around, Kelly has vision boards that she's very excited about putting together. So
vision boards are cool.
I think they're great. I've done one vision board, but I mean, the whole goal of this is that obviously there's a lot going on in our industry right now, and everyone's fighting for a certain amount of transactions. Like, it's never been as difficult as it is in the current state of the market. So if we can get a little bit more organized and decide, okay, here are the 3 pillars that I'm going to focus on to get me to where I want to be next year. That's the main goal of this. It's more so a brainstorming session for yourself to where you can then write things down. And then if you do need somebody to keep you accountable, call a friend, call me, call Lindsay, call Brandy. We'd be more than happy to kind of either meet on a monthly basis or whatever that may be. I know myself personally, I have a coach that I need accountability every 2 weeks, and he hammers me if I don't get things done. So a lot of this is going to be organization, most people, what they do during business planning classes is they write things down and then,
Hi.
oh, Tay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Do you want to, Tay is also
Yeah.
sponsoring this class. Tay is a badass. If you don't know who she is.
Just like you.
She does transaction coordinating. I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Tay. I think most of you in here kind of know who I am, but I do transaction coordinating for my home group agents. So I have an office over here, and I help you keep your contingencies in line, make sure you're not going to get in trouble with the broker or your clients as far as I can, and make sure.
She'll yell at the lenders when
I
I'm
was
not getting stuff done.
make sure the lender but we don't have to worry about Brandon. He's actually one of my favorite ones to work with, and I don't get to work with him
Thank you.
too often because I don't have to ask for anything with him. That makes my life easier. So reach out to me, and Michelle here is my business development person too, so she is open for any conversation. She's here a lot more than I am. So
Awesome. Thanks, Tay.
thank you.
So yeah, like I said, like this is more so kind of a brain dump, and what most people do when they get done with their business plans is they put them in their backpack or their bag, and then they forget about them. And it's like, oh shit, it's March. Like, what was I supposed to be goal setting for? And I found that I have this up on my computer, mine personally, that I make, and it's just in the background. So whenever I have like a free 5 minutes, I check on it to make sure that some of the targets are being met. If not, what do I need to do personally? We can get into time blocking later and all that other stuff, but super important that you don't just fill this out and then throw it in your bag. So let's kind of get into some of the topics. So there's now 63, almost 64,000 licensed agents in Maricopa County. I would say a lot of those are part-time agents, not full-time agents. The average agent does 3 deals a year. So if you think about that over the grand scheme of things, I think on average there's about 2,000 plus transactions in Maricopa County a month. So significantly less right now. As I was saying, it's more of a battle than it's ever been. So if we can get some systems and things put together and get a little bit more organized, it's just going to help you in the long run. How will you set yourself apart? So this is something that you can kind of think of yourself, whether that be social media. So we have a ton of agents that we work with that are primarily focused on social media. That's their main pillar of business. They get 80 to 90% of their business from that. Learn from them, follow them if that's something that you're looking to do or are interested in. If it's open houses have been back since May, so that's a huge free marketing source that you can utilize. We'll get into some of the other lead sources as well, but I would say from personal experience, if you pick more than 2 or 3 things, you're not going to accomplish any of those things. So if you can just find a way to focus on 2 or 3 things for the next year, you're going to see some success. And planning. This is what we're doing today. We're gonna kind of walk you through some of this business plan. This is through Breakthrough Broker. Any of you guys heard of Breakthrough Broker? They're awesome. So we're gonna kind of go through their success plan a little bit, as well as a couple other items as well. Just kind of touching on some of the reality of this. 95% of the results are produced by 5% of real estate agents. So how do the top 5% do what they do? Obviously, a lot of that comes from experience. So if you're a newer agent, getting as much information as possible. My home group's great with classes, so learning from either agents, we bring in agents that do a lot of production here and kind of learn from them mentor-wise, or whether that be classes, events, whatever if you're a newer agent, just kind of getting your feet wet and learning the process is going to be huge. Every top agent that we work with and that we know has a business plan, and they follow their business plan, whether that be an annual business plan, a monthly business plan, or a quarterly business plan. Super important. when I first got into business, I didn't think I needed a business plan. I was all over the place. I did get a lot of stuff done, but I could have gotten much more done through strategy and timeline. I think we're good. So we have a worksheet here. It's a planning for success kind of worksheet just to get your mind going a little bit. We can make this as interactive as you guys want. If anybody wants to kind of share their thoughts on this, they can. If not, no worries, not a big deal. But we're going to kind of touch on personal fitness and health goals and relationship goals. So I was never big into like personal goals and health and fitness goals. I was more so geared towards just financial goals when I first started, which is understandable. A lot of people end up killing themselves or burning themselves out, especially over the last 24 months, and they don't focus on those personal and health and fitness goals. Those are going to be more important in the long run for you. I know last year fatigue set in for me, and it was very difficult for me until I ended up taking care of my body and setting some personal goals. So that's almost more important than your financial goals, because if you're not healthy, if you're not active, if you're not setting personal goals, it's not going to set up for success. So let's take 5 to 10 minutes to just kind of write down, and again, you don't have to share these if you don't want to, just to kind of get your minds going a little bit. You guys all have some papers in front of you. If you want to just kind of get started on that, let's just take 5 or 10 minutes.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I set my goals. Personal honors. For me, I always have a
Very good,
Sorry, I didn't mean to not give you your papers.
Oh, no, I'm okay.
How have you been? Good.
You?
Staying busy.
Doing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, let's be honest. I also think like attainable goals is the biggest thing in this, because if you set, like if I wrote I want to run a marathon, could I maybe do it? Maybe, possibly, but probably not.
You're being chased by
I like when I first started goal setting, I would write down like unattainable goals, and my coach was like, "What are you doing?" Because it's a mindset thing. Like if you can hit certain goals throughout the year, it makes you feel a lot better about yourself and obtaining those goals.
Try to other side of those papers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also brought wine if anybody wants it.
Kelly said we're not allowed to touch it.
Now
until
we will.
vision board's done. This is serious work here, people. Come on.
Yeah, it might spark some creativity.
Yeah,
Listen up a little.
I don't know where the cups and stuff are.
I can grab them.
And hopefully
Yeah.
in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
I mean, if Kelly really doesn't stop you. I don't think anyone else will.
No, oh, Chris will be joining, I'm sure. No problem.
Alcohol is welcome.
We opened,
Yeah.
did we put a front or something? I thought we were waiting to do this, but you people are crazy. So I shall open the champagne in front of you.
It's got the bars on there.
It's in the afternoon.
Kinda dark
out. Yeah.
Oh God, we should all list an excuse. I don't need one. I'm happy to pour this for you and to join you.
And to all those that are not here present or missing out.
Oh, this is really going to open easily. There's your creative juices.
Yeah.
Shall I also bartend? Should I take orders? Hi, I was recorded. Hi.
We're doing our homework right now.
Okay, you people do it.
Our assignment.
Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah. Make good choices.
I feel like when she leaves her kids at the house, that's like the same exit.
Yeah.
Pops the bottle and says, make good choices.
Yep.
Oh.
I think that's right on my pants or something. Like a teacher.
Waiting for the kids
Yeah.
to be
The
done
class
with the test.
done.
Yeah.
You are a teacher.
I'm fine.
That's another advent.
Like the purple pen.
Have some color. See?
Purple used to be my favorite color.
Used to?
Yeah, but say what happens.
Yeah. Is it now?
You and purple have a falling out?
Yeah, we no longer like each other. Yeah, I switched to blue. I don't know. Very similar colors though.
Yeah.
Calming.
Yeah. I don't know. I just started wearing a lot of blue.
You're in Craigville.
Yeah. I feel like Craig only wears blue.
Yeah.
I hate to have to leave early.
I have an appointment, but I know that last video you guys had looked kind of green. It looked like you guys were wearing green.
Are we? I think we both wear blue.
Yeah, but I think it's the lighting or whatever filter is used.
Oh my goals.
I asked her, I'm like, are you wearing orange? She's like, no, it's supposed to be blue.
All right. looks like everyone's pretty much done. Does anybody want to share anything? No?
I will.
I will.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. What do you got?
Okay.
For which one? All of them?
Whatever. No, whatever you would want to share.
Okay. I guess my personal goals would be to learn more about real estate this year, have my best financial year to date, and buy my first house.
Nice.
And my fitness goals would be to hike the enchantments in Washington. I've been wanting to do that again. Getting back to working out 3 times a week, and then yeah.
Perfect.
Goals.
So in the next part that Lynn's is going to kind of go over after we do the vision statement is like how to back into the financial numbers so that we can make these goals attainable, and then we can also talk about some of the different pillars that we can work on to kind of achieve some of the financial side of the goals. But it's always good to set personal goals.
Anyone else?
Let's hear it, Lynn's.
Sure. So my personal goals, I'd like to start journaling daily. I've been saying I want to do that, and then in the mornings I'm like, I'll just scroll on my phone instead. So I'd really like to take some time and intentionally do like some sort of gratitude journal. I want to golf more because I enjoy it and don't get better by not playing. So I'd like to golf more, and I'd like to travel somewhere I've never been before. For fitness goals, I said work out 5 times a week and have a variety of workouts, as well as hit my protein macros, which I never seem to do. Yeah, those are some of them. Yeah.
Awesome. Again, keep these out and on your desk or however you want. Scan them, put them in your computer. We're going to talk about a little bit about the vision statement, and honestly, like, you don't have to complete this now if you know what your vision statement kind of looks like. Basically what this is if you wake up on December 31st of 2023, what would you have wanted to accomplish? What did it look like? Where are you at currently? So this can be financial, personal, fitness, whatever you are feeling that you're really wanting to accomplish in 2023. When you wake up on December 31st, you're going to look at this vision statement and say, okay, I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish. So there's an example down there. I don't know if it's the best example, but it's pretty good. So it just gives you kind of an idea. And again, you don't necessarily have to do this now. I put a little bit more thought into my vision for 2023. So totally up to you guys. We can give you a couple minutes if you wanted to jot some things down. But
I always find when I'm doing these to like write an actual like a metric that I can quantify. For like example on this one, it says 40 transaction, $300,000, 40 hours. So it's something that's attainable that you can hit. I think when you put numbers in it, it kind of helps. It's not so subjective.
I agree.
And ambiguous, yeah.
That's a good point. We'll work 40 hours or less per week.
Yeah.
Want the real estate to do less work. Sorry.
Right, exactly.
There are actually, like I found, there are systems that can take away a lot of your time that you would take doing things now. So we've automated a lot of things in like our CRM that are freeing up more time. We still work a lot, but it gets you to where you're doing the things that are going to make you money. So we can move on from the vision statement.
Yeah. I would say keep these near you, close to you, because I think these will kind of fuel some inspiration when you're doing your vision boards. You can kind of refer back to these just while you're going through the magazines to figure out what you're motivated by.
Cool.
Alright.
All right, Lindsay's gonna
Yeah.
take over.
I'm here. I'm coming over. Alright, so this is, as Brandon mentioned, this is from Breakthrough Broker. If you guys are not familiar with Breakthrough Broker, I know Kelly mentioned that you guys have done lots of trainings with Eric Sachs. He's the owner of Breakthrough Broker, and it's a really good tool for you guys to utilize, as well as, you know, business plans and such in there. They've got like a whole marketing library, so you know me, I love all my marketing stuff. But they've got lots of like infographics that you can use for social media. They've got tons of templates where it will actually pull in all of your information from the MLS, and it will just pop up anything to do with the listing if you need a quick flyer on the fly. So Breakthrough Broker, keep that in mind. All right, so this first part here is coming up with your budget, right? So you're gonna notice that throughout this, there's some monthly calculations as well as annual. This one in particular is monthly, so this is all based on month. There are 15 pages in this, so we're not going to spend a ton of time. I want you guys to take this home and to be able to have this and kind of work on this at your leisure. But going through this is pretty easy. This is just a budget page. So it might take a little bit of time to go through that and determine what your expenses are month to month. On this next page, so this is taxes, the fun stuff. So we are trying to figure out what your tax rate is. You'll be able to determine that by finding your income bracket, and so that's going to help with the next page 2, or technically it's page 4. And then following the taxes, I think the next slide is also related to taxes. Yeah, so this is what it's going to look like, and you can see as you put that in there, you're going to put in your tax ratio in here, divide that by 100, you get the percentage, and then you are going to come up with your target take-home income. So what would you like to bring home? So in this example, $120,000 is what someone would like to bring home. So if you're backtracking, you're taking your taxes out of that. You technically really need to make $171,000 to hit your 120 take-home goal.
But side note,
there's more.
we work with a lot of real estate agents and do a lot of their loans, and we find that most agents write almost everything off. So maybe this is a good kind of parameter. It's always good to kind of overshoot, but I highly suggest, if you don't have a good tax person, to get a good tax person. And I highly suggest, if you're going to buy a home next year, that you consult both a mortgage professional and a tax person, so that we can get on the same page as to what you should and should not deduct. So, side note, sorry.
No, that's really great. That's great information. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next page. Oh yes, your brokerage fees. So you will. There's a ton of different fees that are included within, you know, having your license and being an agent. But this is one of the pages. I'm not sure exactly which one we're on now. I think we are on page 6. We're on page 6. So if you're following along in this, that is where you're going to input your fees. But then if you see on page 7, that's the example's on 6. The fill-in is on 7. For you to put in that brokerage fee commission splits, or if you have a capped commission. Instead, it has both options on there. As well as some of the expenses. So now, looking at page 8, here are some of your expenses in terms of your licensing, association dues, if you are a part of one, armless brokerage, other brokerage fees, and Zubra. So there's some of those up there, but you guys will be able to work through all of these. And there's a couple line items on here for other. So if you guys have other, there will be a lot more business expenses than just these. Of course, if you're subscribing to Constant Contact or Linktree or whatever, all this CRMs, yes, that's a big one. All of the expenses that you have associated with that will definitely go into here as well. And so you'll notice, again, your income before the commission split plus the annual business expenses that you have is going to equal your targeted gross income. All right, so that is the part 1 of calculating the gross income of what you need to make. Part 3, you're kind of working backwards, right? So the next part we're going to go into is trying to determine how, okay, so we know what we want to make. We've calculated out taxes, we've calculated out expenses and fees and all of the not fun stuff. Okay, what do we need to do to get here? So you need to determine how many deals are you going to close. And to start, 1, it's going to ask you to put in your average commission. 3% is usually standard, so that is the example they've given in here. And with that, try and figure out your sales volume based off of that average commission. And then on the next part, okay, now we have the target sales volume amount. Well, how many homes do I need to sell to get there? And of course, this is going to, yes, that's what I just said. Sorry, I was making sure that I was still going with the slides up here. How many homes do you need to sell? Now, with that being said, of course, everyone's working at a different price point, right? So I would like you to kind of go backwards and think about, okay, 2020 or even 21, the market is shifting, so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, of course. But what was I doing before? Was I working with an average price point of $900,000? Was I working with an average price point of $350,000? Take that into consideration. I think on the next slide it says what the Maricopa County median is right now. This tells you to put in the average price, but the median price is going to be a little bit better because those like high luxury, that will skew the average. So I would work with the median on that. I think, we'll get there. Okay, and then also, if you would like to plan out buyers versus sellers, how many on the buy side would you want to do? How many on the listing side would you want to do? Again, look at your historical data with what you typically are doing. Also think about the market, right? If you're like, okay, well, historically, I was working with a lot of sellers. Well, maybe there's not as many sellers right now, or maybe there's, you're going to see how that fluctuates. Listen in for all of our Tina Tambor Cromford report calls, because those are going to help you when you are starting to do some of this planning. But it does have on here, if you wanted to separate sellers from buyers and kind of figure out how many transactions do you need. And you'll see on page 11 how it kind of separates that out for you, and you can figure out how many transactions are required to hit those goals. Okay, and this is what I just spoke on, is your success rate. Think about, okay, well, you're like, all right, so in order, it says on here, 19 homes, to list 19 homes, well, how many listing appointments are you going to need, right? You're not going to have 19 listing appointments because not every single one's going to turn into a home that you're actually listing. So think about your success rate on that. So if you have a 50% success rate, 70% success rate, take that into consideration when you're like working backwards and you're saying, all right, this is how many listing appointments I need. And then also, you got to take into consideration cancellations too, right? Cancellations are happening. Those are a thing right now. So you might want to, put that in there, a little buffer. And same with your buyers. Same exact thing I just went through. Of course, there's going to be buyers that are going to be, there's going to be low inventory, so they're going to be frustrated that it's not what they want, and then the sellers then not willing to meet them in the middle where they want that price agreement. So not every single buyer is going to transact and close. So you want to think about the success rate on that as well. So that, in a nutshell, I know I went through that pretty fast, but I did that intentionally because I don't want us to get too hung up on the numbers right now. That's something that you definitely will want to sit down and you'll want to take the time to calculate all of these things out. But take this home with you so you can have those numbers, so you can find out, okay, think about, first and foremost, what do I want to take home? So your finance goals, if you want to have the biggest financial year to date, you want to set that number. from there, you got to work backwards. You got to figure out your expenses, your taxes, and then from there you're going to get into, okay, well, this is what I need to do. Here are my goals. Now how I'm going to get here, that's what Brandy's going to get into.
All right, everybody. Hopefully, I don't go through too many boring numbers with you. Not that they're boring, but the number part is the nitty gritty. I mean, I think that's kind of, the most important piece to make sure that you know exactly what you need to do and then build upon that. So this kind of just tells you how you should think about your goals and kind of keep you from going down that rabbit hole that we all know we can go down, especially when we start talking about pillars of business and how to get there. So this is kind of an easy acronym to think about, and it is SMART. So S stands for specific, meaning be specific about who, what, when, and why, and which, meaning who's going to help you, what are you going to be doing, where are you going to be doing it, when, which some of this is pretty general and broad, but you really need to think about how you're going to attain your goals and be very specific about those. So obviously we could say, I want to do 100 transactions, but for you that's completely different than somebody else doing it in their methodology. M is measurable, and that basically means that you need to be able to track your numbers on a regular basis to see where you're at on your goals. And if you need to step something up in order to get to your goals, then you'll know where to do that by looking at your numbers. And it'll also keep you on track for what your conversion percentages can be between, like Lindsay was talking about, with the number of listing appointments that you need to be able to convert into actual listings and things like that, which we'll get into a little bit at the end. And then, are your goals attainable? So kind of like Brandon was touching on, if you make some crazy goals are fantastic for maybe like a 5 or a 10-year plan. You really should kind of get crazy on those. But for a yearly business plan, you really want to make sure that you're working with numbers that you believe are attainable. Make them, not hard or easy to attain, because you want to make sure that you're really working hard towards a goal to make yourself grow, but just make sure that it is something that is reasonable. And then relevant. So when you're thinking about your pillars of business, is the activity that you're doing relevant to what that pillar of business is? If you're doing social media, obviously you're not going to be doing activities that don't have anything to do with social media, or you need to make sure that you have the equipment to come across the way that maybe the algorithms are telling you need to be. And then timely is when. So if you kind of like me, I really have to chunk my goals down, kind of like what Brandon was saying, where you can chunk them down even to the day and the hour by doing a time block on your calendar. Then you can go to a week, a month, quarterly. Just make sure that whenever you make a goal, that you set a time for yourself on when you need to, first of all, have it set up for the plan on getting that goal, and then second, reaching that goal. So this is in your packet as well. And this is basically just some lead generation activities. I don't know why they have them flip-flopped here, but these are for buy side, and then the top ones are for seller side. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this. But this list is kind of an example of all of the things that you can do for each side. Obviously, you don't have to do them all, or there may be some not included in the list, but it's kind of a good example for you to follow.
It just gets kind of your wheels spinning, and also, like as I was saying, don't overdo what your pillars of business are. If you're planning on doing social media and calling on FSBOs, just do that, and then regroup after the first quarter and determine, okay, is what I'm doing adding value to my clients? Is it giving me transactions? So this can be interchangeable. If you don't like social media, you don't have to do social media. I know agents that don't do social media at all, and they just do cold calling. So everyone has kind of what their niche is, but that's a big box. Don't make it. You don't have to write 10 things in that box. I think 1 to 2 things in general is a good idea.
Yeah, I find that when you start to do too many things, right? When I'm teaching all the social media platforms, it's like, okay, how am I gonna have time to do this, when you're wearing so many hats as an agent? So I think when you add too many, as Brandon mentioned, it will just be like, oh, well, this is gonna fall off, and this is gonna fall off, so I'm just not gonna do it, right? And that's how things, meet your goals. Yeah.
And I think 2 things. One thing is that it takes a while to ramp up on things, as you know. Kind of in the coaching that I do, you got to give it 90 days of really consistently hitting it in order to see results. And it's extremely important, number 2, to make sure you are tracking these things, because if you feel like it's not working, but you really can't see how it is or isn't working, you either won't be able to tweak that pillar, or you will just give up and move on to something else, and you may have just kind of missed the development of that pillar for yourself. So just make sure that whatever you decide, it can be a few things, it can be a lot of things, it can change, that you're just really consistent about it.
And just a side note on that, like, some of these things will take a lot more time, like direct mail farming. That takes a long time. Social media, you're not going to see the benefits of social media for a long time. Like, I've been doing social media now for a couple of years, and I'm just starting to actually get leads and traction from it. So just keep that in mind as well. Like, there's some things on here, like open houses or calling on FSBOs or canceled expireds, etc., that you can track and measure over a quarter, but a lot of these things are going to be ongoing for the foreseeable future.
And as far as each one of those goes too, you can write open house, but what does that mean? You have to market the open house. How are you going to do that? How are you going to get traffic in? Are you going to do anything during the open house? How do you follow up? So open house is great to have one, but in order to see measurable results, you have to make sure that you know exactly what activities go into that. And if it's like social media, if there's 10 different platforms, are you going to just pick 3 and really focus on those in order to be able to make sure that those are effective? Then you want to make sure you have a plan around those. And then the next slide is the summary of the Breakthrough Broker packet that you got. It's the 1-page business success plan. And the only thing I want to just tell you on this one is kind of how to fill this out. So you'll see the little bubbles with the numbers in them. And if you go back through the packet, you'll see at the bottom of each, basically at the bottom of each of the calculations, it'll have the corresponding bubble next to it. So like for target GCI on part 2, you'll see the little B bubble in the number 2. That's going to be the number that you plug into that success plan page to get you to that bottom line. So you don't have to do a whole lot of thought here. Just make sure you match those numbers up. Okay, and then this kind of goes into a little bit more of those pillars of business. Obviously right here you can see are some examples of those pillars, and then some questions to ask yourself about those pillars. Looking back at last year or even the last few years, where did your business come from? Is it, referral? Is it lead gen? Where do you want it to come from this year? And then where will you focus your energy? So obviously you want to make sure that you're focusing on whatever your successful lead source may be. And if it wasn't successful, then you want to look at replacing it possibly with one of these other pillars of business and really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty on that.
Can I just touch on one thing on that? Sorry. So when I first started, I was so adamant about getting new clients, new business, that you can lose track of your past clients. So it's extremely important that you have some kind of system set up, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet, to track your past clients. We do annual reviews, we have HomeBot, we have a ton of things going out to our past client database now, and a lot of our referrals come from our past clients. And I didn't think that was going to be the case when I was first starting. I was trying to ramp up, and I was just go. I wish I had a CRM or some kind of system back then to where I could still be touching on a lot of those past clients.
And I know a lot of majority of my business does come from my past clients, and just going through in kind of unexpected move, being able to take that CRM with me has been really big, especially because that lender was a servicer, so all those clients kind of stayed there, and when there's changes, they still call me to ask questions about it, which really speaks to being able to, anytime someone calls, kind of our big thing is, do you know anyone, friends, family, coworkers looking to buy, sell, refinance? And that's just how we say goodbye. And it sounds weird, but it actually is. Everybody wants to help, right? So it's really a great way to keep the past client database. I think should always absolutely be part of somebody's pillar of business. I will tell you that I just had 3 transactions for a realtor who's fantastic, but she didn't follow up with them, and they closed with me but not with her. And so it really woke her up and had her get in front of these clients a lot more. And she's retaining more of her business because of it. So I would definitely say everybody should make that one of their primary pillars of business. And then this kind of goes into a little bit what we were talking about earlier, but more detailed. Track your numbers. So, your conversion rates kind of here. So the percentage of buyer consults, and you get a signed buyer broker. I'm not sure, I know that wasn't like a big thing up in the past recently, but I am hearing a lot more buyer brokers out there being signed, just to make sure they retain those buyers. And then obviously with listing appointments to listing agreements, and then listings that close. What percentage of business are you getting from listings? And you can break that down further. It's from open houses or referrals from your sellers. And then percent of business from buyers, again, referrals. And then what's your average sales price and your average commission. And those will help you also fill out that business plan. And then, of course, we were talking about tracking your business activities. So these are really just a few examples of tracking your activities. If you have a CRM or even a spreadsheet and you make a couple of columns of, what was an open house, how many registrations did I get? But this is really just kind of surface level here. You can say how many people came through your open house. You had so many people come, but you need to make sure you call them, obviously, right? So that's a metric you need to also track. How many real estate conversations did you have this week? How many, partners did you talk to? How many classes did you attend? And then how many new leads did you get this week? Were they buyer leads, listing agent lead, or listing leads? So on and so forth. So just make sure you track your business. This is really going to help you determine if those pillars that you're working on need to be tweaked or changed or whatever over the course of the year.
If you need a tracking sheet, we have them too. So we have a really good one. It's not mortgage specific. It can serve as both real estate and mortgage. So just let me know if you need it. Wow.
Skip that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't even go there. And we just want to thank you guys for coming to our class, and hopefully it was helpful to you, and we want to hear your successes in 2023. And does anyone have any questions for any of us? I know Brandon's willing to share all day long. Isn't he?
I have a closing remark.
This is really cool and helpful. This is
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so are we able to access Bison projects?
Yes.
We can just go in there? Okay.
Yeah, it is free for agents. If you guys are not set up on it yet, I know my home group definitely, they have that resource available for all agents, as well as even if you're not with my home group, Chicago Title, we can help you guys get set up on that. But it is free. It is free. They do have like a premium option within there where you can get extra templates and all these fun things, but it is free. So definitely get yourself set up on there because that is available digitally in there too.
I also think this is great because we can't control the market. The market is the market. We have no control over what happens with mortgage rates or supply of homes or buyer demand. This type of stuff is what you can control, which I love because I don't watch the news anymore. I turned off the news. I do watch kind of what's going on with the election because that does have an impact on what investors are feeling. But other than that, I turn off the news. I've become much more of a positive person because of it. So if you're feeling yourself in a negative space, you're probably consuming social media and the news too much. Focus on what you can control, your business plan, and no matter the market, it's a very difficult market, no doubt, but you can still be successful. So that was my closing remark.
Yeah, drink some wine. Drink some wine, and then so yeah, all of these back here. There's magazines for you guys to maybe take a handful of them, bring them back
I'll
to
get
your
Kelly in
space.
here.
Yeah, and
She
you
probably
guys
has
can.
some
She's got a method, and she also wanted me to remind you guys. If there's, let's say, for my example, I wanted to golf more. If I don't find anything golf in there,